So if you look at, for example, Djokovic, I think Djokovic is that perfect example of actually really understanding him, and how he's been on a journey, and he's really developed that whole sense of himself to perform at the best that he can do. And if you listen to his narrative, though, if you're really listening to his narrative, he actually talks about fundamentally about reading the situation, the ability to read that situation and adjust in that moment, and then apply that out back into the world. That is his process. And I think it came up in a conversation. Somebody was, because obviously if you're in the limelight like that, people, as you just said, people want to know what is it that makes him the difference. What's the difference in this process? And for him, I think it was they commented on, oh yeah, you're lucky. You know, you've been gifted this set of mental skills. And he said, oh, hold on. He said, no. They said, if you think that I'm out there and I don't have all this turmoil going on in my head, then you have to think again. He said, because that is happening. He said, however, I've helped myself and I've trained myself to think better in that moment. So the biggest difference is absolutely staying in context wherever you are. It's that ability to put yourself back into context. What is this moment demanding of you now? Yeah, that creates the performance. So I always think, well, who's the performer? How are they performing? And what's the performance? They all sync up. And actually, so it's the performing part. That's a doing thing. How is he doing that thing? An ability to stay in the moment and switch back into context, whatever is asking him, whatever is trying to pull him away from that moment, he has that ability to do. Now that only comes through really living the experience of putting yourself into that environment. It's not a thing you can just learn overnight. It's about you putting yourself out there to learn those sets of skills. It's why I'm really a big advocate of like vocational learning, actually learning in the job, because you're actually picking all those elements up. And in sport is another perfect example, like, because you're learning in the job. You're constantly learning in the job. And the best coaches are creating scenarios that test those points all the time. It's not just about, okay, you stand here, you stand there. They're putting on scenarios where they're adding in the pressure, or they're adding in decision making. So you have to learn in situ, and you have to learn in context. Now that is the difference. We get so pulled out of context by our egos, by the threats, that we forget where we are, and actually that's when we lose the performance. So, but that's critical for everybody. If we can just learn that simple process or a pattern to life, then I think that's going to make a big difference to everybody. And just going back to your point, I think with the AI, I think that helps us scale that up into a different element.